What is up, everybody? So if you've been following me in my debacle recently of me basically switching to the iPhone 10 and all of that, you guys know that I pretty much got scammed from an iPhone 10 or about an iPhone 10. It had a bad screen and all that stuff, and it was liquid damage and all that stuff. And I just want to quickly do an update of that video. Basically, I was able to return that. I got fully reimbursed. I got all the money back. So thankfully that was the case, and thankfully I didn't lose any money doing that. But what happened was right after I bought that phone, right? And when I got the refund and all that stuff, literally same day I went and I picked up another iPhone 10. And it's literally been sitting on my desk for about a week and a half now. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go switch to it and this and that. But I realized there's really no urgency. Like before, when I would switch to a better iPhone, because the iPhone 10 is technically a better iPhone than the iPhone 7 Plus, which is this phone, my current daily driver. And every time it's literally been sitting on my desk. I haven't been, crying over it. I haven't been like thinking about it. It's like I come here, I sit down on my desk and, oh, I see an iPhone 10. I got to switch to it. And I just don't feel the urgency to do it or feel the need to do it at all. And I think it pretty much boils down to one statement that I didn't make up or anything, but what I can say is this is pretty much more of the same. Really, there's nothing that distinguishes this phone from my iPhone 7 Plus. And it's kind of weird saying that because I've had tons of iPhones. I've pretty much owned every single iPhone that's ever came out, numerous amounts of Android phones and all these things. And as someone from me who should, get the latest and greatest, I just don't really feel the need to. And the thing is like, I don't even plan on reselling it. Like, this isn't a point of me keeping it or not, because I'm going to keep it. Like, it's going to be on this channel. Like, I need to make more videos about it, this and that. So it's staying on my desk and it's staying, I'm owning it. So it's not a matter of me reselling it or should I keep it or this or that. I'm already keeping it. But it's just that, am I switching to it as my daily driver? And it's weird. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not like a spiritual thing I have to go through in my life in order to, come to a conclusion. And pretty much what I've boiled this down to, like I said, is more of the same. And I want to break it down even further and pretty much go through my flagship history or my daily driver history on my iPad. Okay, so please excuse, everything that might look not good or anything like that, but this is the best setup I can do. So I just want to break through my current or my past daily driver flagship things that I've owned phones. I don't know why I keep saying flagships, because not all of them have been flagships, but they really have now that I think about it. So the first thing I want to start off with is the LG G2, okay? So that was pretty much the last phone I want to go back to, because this was the last Android I owned as a daily driver before I switched to an iPhone 6 Plus. And so after that, right, I owned the LG G2 for about a year and a half. Then I switched to the 6 Plus, okay? And the leap between the LG G2 and the 6 Plus was astronomical. I remember I was like so excited to switch to it because it was my mom's old phone. And at the time, this was about 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, dude, I'm about to turn up. I'm about to get it. So pretty much what I want to say is the turn up level between these two and the excitement and the difference between the LG G2 and the 6 Plus was 100. I mean, they're completely different operating systems, different phones altogether, and crazy things in between them, right? And I owned the 6 Plus for a very long time, for about a year and something. It's not a very long time, but in my standards, I always bashed Apple. I never liked Apple or anything like that. And that's why I still kind of have a practical standpoint that I always bash Apple, and I bash Android manufacturers too, because I'm very practical. I don't really take sides. No one's paying me. Now, if Apple wants to pay me money to switch my opinion, I'm down for it. If Apple or Android or whoever wants to pay me money for a sponsored video, I don't care. But since these are non-sponsored, Apple. But I love the 6 Plus. I had a very, very, very good time having it. It really helped build this channel. It was honestly one of the first phones I had when I built up this channel. So that really means a lot. So then after that, right, I owned the 6 Plus for about a year or something. I don't really remember. I started looking at the 6S Plus, okay? I never really liked the smaller phones. I always liked the bigger ones. I don't know if you can see the 6S Plus that well, but I ended up switching to it, right? And I remember being like, okay, the 6 Plus and the 6S Plus really aren't too different here and that, right? And after I started researching more and more and more, and honestly, this was the time where the 7 Plus was released too. It was last year. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to end up getting the 7 Plus. I ended up buying a 7 Plus, but that ended up having a problem, so I had to return it. So then I went and got a 6S Plus. And I remember the turn up level between these two wasn't 100. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't like I was blown out of my mind, but it was about like an 85. It was like pretty decent. The differences and everything. I mean, the jump between these two were amazing. Okay, don't get me wrong. The 6S Plus was an amazing phone. It still is, and all that stuff. But I wasn't nearly as excited when I switched to the 6 Plus from the LG G2. Now, I owned that for a couple months too. I didn't own it for a year, but I owned it for a little while. And so the 6S Plus was here, right? And I owned it I used it, I loved it, the cameras were awesome, Force Touch was cool and all that stuff. But then what I ended up doing was I started looking, and I think this was the time the 7, the 8, and the 8 Plus and 10 were released and announced and stuff. And this was the time where I got the iPhone 10 and I returned it, if you guys remember that stuff, and I bought all those iPhones and everything. So that was that, right? So then I ended up buying all those phones. I'm like, you know what, I don't want it. I'd rather just go down to a 7 Plus or something. So then I ended up buying a 7 Plus. Now this is going to be hard to illustrate, but basically the turn up level between this and this phone was about a 60, because I knew it wasn't astronomically different. I was excited about the dual camera setup, portrait mode, all that stuff. But I remember being like, you know, and I still say it, like the jump between the 6S Plus and the 7 Plus wasn't nearly as much as between the 6 Plus and the 6S Plus. And this is about a little bit of a better understanding of it, because it's still not as good. But now going one step further, the 7 Plus is a very fast phone. The 6S Plus is a very fast phone. The 6 Plus right now is not a very fast phone. The LG G2, however, is still actually pretty decent. It just has its own set of problems. When I got the iPhone 10, just like the one that was messed up, I was excited for it. I was like, you know what, this is a project, because I had a broken screen. And I was like, you know what, I can fix it, get a really good deal on it, this and that. And so I ended up like, you know, trying to do all that, and it ended up not working. And that whole Sega happened, right? And I ended up returning it, and I bought this iPhone 10 right here. And so what happened with this was that, you know, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I ended up saving a couple hundred because I did buy it pre-owned. But the turn up level between these two isn't as nearly as much as it was between all these. I would say the turn up level between these, me going from the 7 Plus to the iPhone 10, is about like a 20%, you know? And it's just gonna go in a downward trend from here on out. Before I was like, you know, this phone is sick and all that stuff, but I just don't think it's that much of an upgrade, honestly. For like $400 more than the 7 Plus, twice the price as a pre-owned iPhone 7 Plus, you can get an iPhone 10. I don't think so. It's just not worth it in my opinion. And maybe that has something to do with it, because I always, you know, try to look for the deals and everything. And me subconsciously knowing that the iPhone 10 isn't necessarily a good deal could probably be involved with that. I don't know. But I know as more and more phones that I get, and the more and more flagships that I use, and all those things combined, I just feel like, I mean, like, let's just take the 2018 iPhone, for example. I mean, what could it possibly bring for me to, you know, completely disregard all the other iPhones and be like, you need to get this one? I don't know, maybe a bigger battery. The camera's already good. I mean, what more, you know, like, how much better can a camera get? You know, I know I'm going to say like something stupid like that, and then like 2 years later have like the greatest camera ever. I totally understand, but I just think when I illustrate it like this, I mean, I get a better example. Now, let me just finish this off. Let's say the 2018 iPhones are great. Let's say it's a trend, you know, going like this, all that stuff. I would say I'm going to be at around a 5, honestly, of the excitement if I do get the iPhone 10, because I'm going to use the iPhone 10 as my daily driver, but I just have no need and urgency, you know? It's like when you guys order something on Amazon or eBay and you guys are excited for it and it ships here and all that stuff, and the same thing happens, and it's literally the same exact result. Like, you feel excited and happy for it. But when I got this one, I wasn't excited for it. And it's not because like I was excited for it in terms of like, oh, it's the newest, latest, and greatest, I'm on it, I just want material things, and that. It wasn't that. It was like, I can do more things with the channel, I can do this and that, but I think this is the best way I can explain of why I don't necessarily want to upgrade, or why I haven't upgraded to the iPhone 10, because it just doesn't bring that much fulfillment as it was from jumping from the 6 Plus to the 6S Plus. And I want to say, like, this stuff I'm really passionate about. You know, I don't really care about getting like the latest and greatest clothes or latest and greatest and watches and all this stuff. I mean, like, I still use the first Apple Watch, you know, like, I'm not like trying to flex on you guys or anything, but it just seems so weird that the more and more we go in terms of technology and phones, because I remember when I went from the 6 Plus to the 6S Plus and like all these things, like I said, the more and more phones that get released, the less and less I'm excited for them. And I feel like I'm not the only one who's saying that, who thinks this at least, and it's kind of weird. So then what's the takeaway? I mean, of course there's, you know, pros and cons. I'm going to upgrade, like I said, but this is pretty much the best way I can explain as to why I haven't upgraded to the iPhone 10. There's just no excitement. I mean, it's definitely a much better phone, but in some cases it isn't. I mean, you lose the home button, you lose everything, and this isn't a comparison between the 7 Plus and the iPhone 10. You can make the same comparison with the 6S Plus, the 6 Plus, the 8 Plus, the 6S, the 7. Maybe the 6 Plus and 6 are kind of different, honestly, but I mean, what's the difference? You know, like, what is the difference between these? There's nothing different. The same software, same everything. Face ID is the only thing that's different. And maybe you're getting a little bit of a performance update, but there's nothing that's like, oh my God, this phone is so much better. And that's why like Samsung Galaxy Notes and all those things, I love the Samsung Galaxy Notes because it brings the S Pen and it brings a little bit more functionality. With the iPhone 10, what are you getting? You're not getting any more features. You're not getting anything added between the difference between the 7 Plus and the iPhone 10. However, if you look at like the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 6, when you upgrade to iOS 12, those betas, those are missing a ton of it. I'll show you guys right now. It's missing so much stuff. I mean, you're not getting the Measure app. You're not getting any of that stuff. Group FaceTime isn't working. It's not working properly. And it's just a waste. I mean, I don't understand why they did that. And maybe I'm supporting something that's not really that good for older phones and stuff like that. But dude, it's just like a whole puzzle. Like, I still gotta like bring it together. And maybe I'm overreacting and stuff, but I mean, like, if you watch somebody's like vlogs or something who are talking about, you know, cars, and they're like, oh, I did this and this, and they go on and on. The same thing about fitness. I watch a lot of fitness vloggers, and they're always talking about like, oh my God, these are like the problems I'm having, this and that, my benches are going up or something. I don't know, but me freaking out about this technology thing, I think is relevant because this is a technology channel, kind of, but it really isn't because I just talk about whatever I want to. But yeah, guys, that's it. This is a huge rant. I mean, I could have just keep going on and on and on, but maybe I'll do a live stream here in a couple days and pretty much explain more. I try to be as practical as possible. I don't, you know, filter out anything. I just say what I think is right, and maybe sometimes I'm wrong, and that's okay, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I'll definitely be reading the comments on this video, so if you guys have any questions or you agree with me or disagree with me, please leave it down in the comment section below. I'll try my best to read your questions, read your answers, whatever the case is. I'll definitely try my best to read them. I think it's really important, at least for this video, to see them because I kind of just ran it. I totally went off script. Like, I don't have a script in front of me or anything. I have my MacBook right here, but it just has Google Flights open on it. Like I said, questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. We're still giving away an iPhone 6s and an iPhone SE on the channel, and in order to enter, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both those links are down in the description, so make sure you enter that. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.